Magnificent is all that I touch, for in me is the power granted. I have cleverly understood the power of even the lion, for courageous he proves to be marvelous in design. He traverses the land, searching for territory and demanding his bounty. His fights are valiant and his death noble. He hunts his quarry by night or day. His roar makes the waters regurgitate, trembling over the constancy of its echoes. None may cross the path of the warrior beast, none but I, Lord of the world, king of mankind, challenge such a beast. Into his domain I went, sword in hand, capturing his kind. There are those I slew in the hunting field by the edge of the sword, whereas others I brought back to my abode. For in my dwelling I battle the ferocity of the beast alone, proving my power and relentless courage over all beasts. Into the pit I fought the lion, and in the pit I spewed even more glory through my victories. I am Ashurbanipal, Lord of the world, king over all mankind. My power is exact, reaching the great oceans and the skies with limitless expansions. The gods have blessed my hand, giving me power over even the Lord of all beasts, making me the true earthly seat of power.
Betrayal. During the passing months, suspicion of Mesa's growing cub's true blood lineage grows like wildfire.
Father, may I speak with you for a moment?
Of course, my son. What is it you wish to ask?
I am certain you are aware that Mesa's cub is growing more and more distinctive. Physically, he differs in ways of your lineage, even his manners.
Explain yourself, Amir.
As he grows, he becomes more of a threat to your sovereignty. That is, if he is not of our seed. I sense there is some bonding between him and the Sarumkana that once followed Rushdie and his son, a kinship that is not of our bloodline.
Shortly thereafter, Azam and Thamir join the two.
I have even smelled his stench markings on the loping trees of Farlin. How dare he seek territory in our land? Father, immediate action needs to be taken before this farce seeks to secure even the throne. He must die.
Thamir interjects.
He may even, perhaps in secret, seek a mate for his loins to secure his reign and kingdom.
My sons, why do you fear him? It is you that I will choose my successor from.
Azam's eyes open wide and he huffs and puffs as his chest swells with agitation.
I know you will not offer such a thing upon him, but if he is not of ours, he will try to take it.
Then what do you propose?
Azam speaks with wisdom. Darius must be driven from our land. If not, he will seek power when he gets older.
I feel further measures other than mere exile are needed. Death!
This is all guessing. You do not know for sure if he is not of my line. Are you saying that we should kill a possible grandson of mine, Azam? I am aware of tradition. Yes, he must leave, but only to carry our lineage.
Your grandson? Your lineage? Are you certain of this, Father? Well, I am certain he is not one of us. He surely was born of Rushdie and his son Safi. You can see it in his gait, his color and his eyes even. His blood is weak and an embarrassment to your reign. He must be purged.
Thamir now speaks, but with a shred of doubt upon his face.
Azam, you have gone too far.
Be silent, fool. You mated with many females of the pride, not even keeping count of all whom you mated with. You know nothing, and neither do you investigate matters. Darius is not of us. He is from the line of Rushdie. He must die.
Your zeal and anger cloud your mind, brother. After all this time, you have now finally come to this conclusion.
I have always felt this way. Weakness would be found in us if we continue to hold on to the weak. Amir feels this way as well, for we have discussed this in length.
Is this true, Amir? Do you really believe him not to be of our lineage?
Yes, Father. I spoke this with you before, but I did not wish to offend you. I did not want my mere suspicions to cause you any anguish, for your ways are just. Your Majesty,
Enough of this nonsense. There is no doubt in my mind Darius is the offspring of Rushdie. Was he not born 1 month earlier than the rest of the cubs? Our takeover was done during Mesa's pregnancy. Am I the only one who noticed this? Have not any of you taken this into account?
My old cub, we must be shrewd in our actions. It is time for us.
It is a time for us to act and act swiftly before our enemy grows in our midst, and perhaps dethrone even you, Father.
Azam, none of the young males are allowed to stay anyway. At the age of 2, they are driven out to spread our seed to other prides. This is, and has always been, our way. It is his time to leave the pride now. But, as far as death is concerned, with possible uncertainties we might have...
Tamir, you need to learn when to be quiet. He must not live. Merely driving him away leaves the door open for his return. He will return to try and place vengeance upon us.
Has Azam the elephant killer become frightened? Is weakness creeping upon you, brother?
In an instant, as swift as a cheetah, Azam viciously leaps upon Tamir, pinning him to the ground, assertively growling as saliva drips from his mouth onto Tamir's muzzle.
No, my brother! Fear is what has overtaken you. Fear is like the trees that bend to the howls of the wind, never resisting, but swaying to and fro, bowing to the teachings of its grasp. Behold, doubtful one, I am the wind. I am the one that moves the pride. I am the one that bends those to the will of the law.
release him, Azam. Zafir, our father, is the law and lawgiver. All exist in the pride under his governing. This you must respect.
Azam, turning his head slowly toward Amir.
I do respect his authority, and thus I enforce it. As enforcer and upholder, all must give attention to the howls of the wind, and tomorrow this will be dealt with.
The following day, tension is thick in the air. All the lionesses in the pride sense a grave undertaking about to happen due to the announcement of a meeting to take place. Their nerves are shaken, for no one is aware of the events that will transpire. Azam lay above on a large rock overlooking the pride. Tamir paces back and forth, trapped in confusion. Amir stands by Zafir's side, supporting the aged ruler as he stares at the pride incessantly. His more than 20 lion guards stand ready for Zafir's orders. Today is truly different than other days. All remain silent and still, awaiting the unknown. Maisa quietly asks her sister Naza,
"Have you seen Khadija? I need to speak with her."
No, I haven't.
Naza, what do you make of this?
I don't know, Mesa. Any and all they do keeps me in wonderment. I am just as confused as you are.
Naza, I fear Darius is in grave danger.
He is already 2 years of age, and his time has come. He will be expelled from the pride. But I fear even worse than mere expulsion will accompany him. I fear they will kill him. Have you not seen the look in Azam's eyes? His eyes cry out for blood. I and the other huntresses informed you of this time, and now it looks as if the time has finally come.
To send him on his way is understood. That is our way. But to kill him...
Why do you speak as though you have gone mad? Have you forgotten, Mesa, that Darius is not of Zafir's line? Your sisters know this now. He is from your late-departed Safi, enemies to the rule of Zafir and his sons. O Mesa, your love blinds you.
Blinds me? This is my cub, my flesh. How am I blinded by this gift? He is indeed the prophecy spoken of by...
Be careful, Mesa. See that you do not also face the fate that awaits Darius.
I will face the same fate, or whatever fate awaits Darius. I would bathe in the flames of shams for my cub.
And so would I, Mesa. But you must realize the consequences of what faces you and your cub and...
How dare you, Naza? I shall speak to you no more. If you are not for me, then you are against me. Now leave me.
Oh, Mesa, if only you could...
I said leave me.
Reluctantly, Naza turns and leaves Mesa's presence. Soon, nightfall approaches. During this time, lion society is busier. Azam and his brothers begin walking amongst the lionesses, staring viciously at each one. Amir finally makes an announcement.
All are to meet at Mount Kadka. Zafir has an announcement to make.
After hearing this, Mesa begins to search frantically for Darius, all the while trying to remain inconspicuous. Unaware of what is about to transpire, Darius is asleep by a tree near the Gershon stream. After some time, he gets up and takes a mighty yawn. Afterward, he gazes upon the beautiful landscape before him.
This land is rich and pure. I shall indeed claim it by the originator's will.
After deep thought, he finally heads back toward the Pride. On arriving, he is greeted by Thamir.
Is all well, Cub?
Yes, all is well. How is the Pride?
The Pride is well. All were concerned of your whereabouts.
I was at the tree north of the boundaries of the Pride, enjoying the breeze and scenery. Then I fell asleep.
For a moment, Thamir squints his eyes while staring suspiciously at Darius.
Your grandfather, Zafir, is about to make an announcement. All must be present, including you. The Sarum Kina and your cousins are already at Mount Kadka awaiting you.
Then I will follow you.
The two head farther into the Pride's territory and finally come upon Mount Kadka. This is the standing position of the Pride ruler, where announcements to the Pride are made. All sit intently looking at the crag for Zafir to take his stand and speak. Darius joins the group, sitting next to his cousin Siraj. Siraj sits very dignified, ignoring Darius with casual glances. His dignity and pride are great to the point of thinking lowly of his cousin Darius. His father is Amir, and as he grows to maturity, so does his lust for power. Even at a young age, Siraj is fearless. He fancies a deep, tawny-coloured coat, but very little black is in his mane. His eyes are greyish-amber in colour, and he is a bit larger in comparison to Darius.
Where is my mother?
I don't know. She was last seen when the announcement for the meeting was first made, then she disappeared.
A chill skims through Darius's spine. Nevertheless, he sits patiently, waiting for Zafir to take his place and speak to the Pride. Amir then stands upon the crag and gives prayer before the lions and lionesses. The prayer is the ancient one given thousands of years ago during the age of the Lugals. The practice of lions remains in quoting this prayer, along with others daily throughout their lives.
In the name of the originator, the celestial, the wonderful, the supreme of the 5 worlds and beyond, all gratitude to him for our ancestors, through the seed of Sarum, the kings, and the ancient code. We humbly thank him for all his gifts, the hoofed Akalun, Shams, the mighty rivers, and his green grass. Glory is given to the heights above, to all affluent things. I greet all with the ancient words of prosperity, Zabal Napishtu. We give our ears to the voice of the Lugol, Abanag, Redeemer, and Wise One of all beasts, Zafir. Come forward, Mighty One, that we may hear your words of wisdom.
Zafir then rises and walks slowly to the crag. Looking amongst the Pride, he heaves a heavy sigh.
The time has come. All of our cubs have come of age, the age of maturity. We shall now first officially welcome our new sisters to the hunting fold.
At that, Zafir begins to call each cub lioness by name, appointing them a title in the Pride. There are 12 in all. Some are appointed as runners, others as catchers and guardians, and then others as nursemaids to assist the elderly lionesses in the rearing of new cubs. After he appoints the lionesses, he directs his attention to the males and lastly the 2 cousins, Siraj and Darius.
My cub, your destiny shall be quite different, your task more worthy. You are to take our name and spread our blood in the land. The might of our dynasty and our role in the destruction of evil is left in you, my cub. You are to leave the Pride with 5 of your brothers. You shall grow and become a mighty Pride in addition to all the Prides of Ardak, a new lineage and force to be reckoned with in the name of Zafir and the Lugal, ancestors of my blood.
After Zafir is done, there is a long, uneasy silence. Darius, quite confused, respectfully speaks up to Zafir.
Excuse me, grandfather, but to which one of us do you speak? For you mention only one, but yet there are 2 of us.
Not acknowledging Darius's comment or him at all, Zafir continues speaking to the pride.
Even though we rejoice over the new developments in our tribe with pain of heart, I regret to say that we are now faced with grave danger. There has been an act of unfaithfulness committed amongst our tribe, deception, deceit, and treachery. The problem has caused great concern in the ranks of leadership, and judgment has been passed.
The nerves of all the lionesses in the pride start to shake violently, for some know of whom Zafir is referring to. They remain frozen as they listen intently to the remainder of his speech. Amir then steps forward.
Darius, cub of Safi, grandson of Rushdie, step forward.
All of a sudden, Azam yells,
Death to the traitorous weak!
Suddenly, from the distance, a faint pounding sound can be heard. The figure is soon revealed to be Mesa, charging desperately toward them. Azam suddenly heads toward the young lion, Darius, and on meeting him, they begin to engage in vicious combat. Darius fights hard and ferociously, but to no avail. The skill, strength, and maturity of Azam become evident as he pushes brutally upon Darius, toppling his every attempt to stand, slashing and biting, while knocking Darius to the earth continuously. Mesa finally reaches the two fighting lions and quickly leaps upon Azam's back. After a brief struggle, he manages to shake her off, leaving the weakened Darius panting for air. Turning his attention to Mesa.
You have deceived us. You have used trickery and deceit in rearing this bastard-cursed cub, leading all to believe he was from our royal line. This act of treachery is punishable by death, not only for the cub, but also for the mother that bore him.
Azam at once charges into Mesa, baring teeth and claws, viciously ripping at her neck and shoulder, leaving gaping wounds. During the commotion, Darius's Aunt Naza quickly approaches Darius, who slowly rises to his feet, attempting to get his next wind of air, to again continue his fight with Azam.
Leave, cub.
I shall never leave my mother.
But he is intercepted by two more of his aunts, the twins, imploring him to leave, grabbing hold of his mane in their mouths and pulling him away from the pride territory.
There is nothing you can do here. You will only die at the claws of Zafir's sons. More help can be given if only you leave now. Go, my nephew, and find a pride of your own, and only then shall you return to exact vengeance. Now! Go! But worry not, I know full well that the owl spoke with your mother and told of your appointment as Dayin. You are not to die here. Now I implore you, nephew, leave, and return once you have discovered your real purpose.
Though her words rang true in Darius's ears, he continued his struggle to aid his mother. But despite his struggle, two of the lionesses push harder into him, moving him toward departure and into the depths of the night. The two aunts continue to push Darius while Naza races to her sister's aid, only to find her lying in a pool of blood, desperately panting for air.
Azam, no! You killed her!
Azam races over to Naza and leaps upon her, pinning her to the ground.
Yes! And you shall be my next victim! I saw you and your sisters providing escape for Darius, but you yourself shall not have the freedom he ran toward.
Azam, that is enough. Release her. Judgment has already been met this day.
With that, Azam leaps off her. He then starts sniffing into the air and catches Darius's scent. Looking toward the direction of the horizon, he starts to pursue the fleeing Darius.
He must not live. All remnants of Rushdie must die.
Azam disappears into the night in hot pursuit. Naza crawls over to her dying sister and places her head upon her bloodied body. Mesa's other sisters come over and join Naza, all but Basila and three others, who keeps their distance for fear of displeasing Zafir and his sons.
My cub, is he safe?
Yes, dear sister, he has left the territory.
Naza, Azam, is pursuing him. This I know.
Oh, Mesa, my beloved, not another word. Your cub is clever, more so than that deranged, bloodthirsty Azam. Your cub is safe, and he will come to avenge you.
At that, Mesa takes her final breath. All is silent amongst the pride that night. Not a single word is uttered. Naza and her other two sisters, the twins Layla and Shadi, stay near Mysa's dead body, giving aggressive stares to all the others who stand by and do nothing. Naza turns her attention now in anguish at the member of her pride Oran, who chose to side with Zafir and his sons by doing nothing.
Cowards! This was our sister, or how can you betray her in this way?
Ignoring her roars, Amir quickly comes forward.
This outrage of treachery shall be an example for all time. Never attempt to deceive your master and ruler again. New laws shall be administered and will be followed. Those that rebel against them shall suffer the same of those that perished this day.
With that, he calls to the lion guards of the Pride to walk amongst the lionesses and keep order, even by force if need be. After a while, all the lions present leave Mount Kadka and head to their respective cave dwellings. Naza and her two sisters remain behind near Mesa's body. However, Siraj, her son, approaches her humbly.
Mother, please, do not commit this disgraceful folly. She and her son is a traitor's.
Naza looks upon her son with great disappointment in her eyes.
My son, have you gone the way of our conquerors? I have taught you all that I know, the disciplines of the law. Have you left reason behind?
No, Mother. I have not left reason, but this I do know to be a reality. I will be leaving with my brothers. That means you and my aunts will remain behind. I will feel at peace knowing that you are safe. This is all you have presently. Do not let yourself die defending such treachery committed here. Please return to the Pride, all of you. Aunt Mesa is dead now. Nothing more can be done here.
Naza stares into her son's eyes, shaking her head, perplexed over all that happened. Nonetheless, there is truth to what her son, Siraj, says. Finally, she and her sisters reluctantly leave back toward the Pride sanctuaries. On leaving, the jackals that are waiting in the distance and the vultures that hover above race in and greedily feast upon Mesa's battered corpse. As for Darius, he runs hard into the night, attempting to escape the grasp of his executioner, Azam. Once he reaches the long river, he runs toward a cluster of large white rocks surrounding a small cave opening. There, he crouches and crawls inside, attempting to hide from his pursuer. Azam's thirst for blood enables him to smell blood miles away. Right when Darius thinks he has escaped the claws of Azam, Azam leaps right in front of the opening of the cave, face to face with Darius.
We are taught that from earth and water, the originator created all living things. We are also taught that through death, all things return to him from whence they came, returning for a final judgment of deeds. Prepare yourself, cub. Your judgment is fixed for you now, way before your meeting with the originator.
Blasphemy!
Suddenly, without warning, before Azam can attack, he hears a loud noise, as if thunder is approaching behind him swiftly. On turning to investigate, he beholds a fearsome sight never before seen, but only rumored about in legend. Humans riding what appear to be stripeless zebras, racing at him with snares and long daggers. Azam immediately turns his attention to his pursuers, roaring and slashing into the air in a desperate attempt to ward them off. One of the humans throws a long pointed spear into Azam's thigh. The pain is excruciating, causing him to howl in horror. It frightens him, throwing him into a panic. Unsure of what he is up against, Azam flees the scene, crashing through the horde of humans that face him, barely escaping. All the while, Darius remains hidden as far back as possible in the crevice of rock. He then begins to hear the humans speaking in their unfamiliar tongue. Darius starts to tremble, unsure of what to make of the new species that surrounds him. He has heard stories of the humans from his mother and aunts, but never had he seen one. After a while, they finally mount their stripeless zebras and leave. Darius remains hidden in the rocks for 2 days, unsure and very much afraid. He eats and drinks nothing. The only thing he does is sleep and dream of the mother and family he left behind, unsure of what has become of them. In the meantime, after traveling many miles, Azam finally arrives back in the Pride's territory. Azam is sure of Darius's death, assuming that the humans killed him. The lionesses loyal to him greet his arrival by grooming his wounds and brushing against him with their bodies. Upon arriving at Zafir's cave, Tamir and Zafir speak with each other concerning the new laws that are being instituted amongst the Pride. Azam falls to the earth exhausted, stained in blood. Tamir approaches him stiff-legged and pompously.
My brother, what has happened to you? Did you catch your adversary, or did he escape your grasp?
I killed him, you fool. I leaped upon him and slew him with one swipe of my claw. His foul blood stains my coat. As for my wound, I fell against the rocks. Be careful, Tamir, that I don't do the same to you.
Zafir, still disturbed by what has taken place, interjects.
My son, I am still not completely certain of this. I pray that you have not erred in your thinking.
Meanwhile, Darius finally resurfaces from the cave 2 days later. He slowly creeps over to a stream and starts lapping vigorously at the water. A twig cracks behind him. He quickly turns but sees nothing.
When I regain my strength, I am going back to avenge my mother.
Suddenly, a large net falls from the trees and blankets him all over. Darius frantically fights at the weird material, slashing and biting, but it proves unbreakable despite his efforts. His struggling only intensifies the entanglement. Soon 5 humans are upon him with long sticks that have grapplers at the ends. Darius swings out and breaks one of the sticks, knocking the man off balance. He then faces the man while still ensnared and lunges at him to deliver the final blow. But before he can reach him, he is hit in the head with a large club, instantly rendering him unconscious. A lion's paradise. Darius is taken to the land of Egypt by a traveling caravan of traders. The sun is scorching hot, its intense rays beating down on Darius's fur. When he finally awakes, he notices a large chain fastened around his neck, loosely tied to the floor of the large cage on wheels that encloses him. As the caravan strolls through the desert, the gate of the cage shakes from the bumpy ride, rattling with every thud. Darius looks closer and notices that the gate's latch is barely fastened. After looking around for any onlookers, he quietly creeps over to the door of the cage. He places his nose on the latch and gives it a hard push. The latch surprisingly unloosens. He then proceeds with a hard tug on the chain strapped to his neck and manages to pull it from the floor. The door swings open, and Darius quickly leaps from the cage and races across the horizon toward freedom. The men notice Darius's escape and quickly stop the wagon, each leaping off and hysterically chasing after him with nets, but to no avail. Darius's speed surpasses the men as he finally disappears into the wooded valley. The sun is setting, which in effect persuades the men to abandon their chase for the night. They decide to wait for the sunrise as they set up camp, contemplating the morning to start again. Darius is unfamiliar with his new surroundings, the smells and sounds. This is far out of his territory, a distance he has never traveled. He lay between 2 large rocks, sniffing the air and curling his lips back, trying to gain a better familiarity with the area. After some time of sitting in the darkness, sounds of laughter echo in the air, accompanied by strange growls. Darius knows these laughs, hyenas. An uncouth society of matriarchs. He knows the despicable horrors they may inflict on lions, having the strongest jaw pressure in all the land. Darius keeps silent so as not to disturb his unseen company. But unfortunately, his silence does nothing to hide him. He is suddenly confronted by one of the hyenas, jumping right in front of the hole in the rock where Darius lies.
We could have spotted you many hills away in the dark of the night.
It is Nataka, the matriarch of the northern hyena clan.
Your foul cat odor is no protection for you.
Darius finds his courage and rises to his paws, surprisingly leaving his corner to confront Nataka head-on.
You shall not eat on my flesh. Though I am young, I am from the royal line of Rushdie and Safi. Proud in Ardak he reigned, and the blood of such honor has been handed to me.
The word is that your parents are no more, and Zafir with his sons now reigns supreme over Ardak. Nevertheless, we respect not your lineage or that of any of your kind. We have not eaten in days, for the Akalan has left the land.
With that, Amanitaka, Nataka's daughter, leaps onto Darius's side, ploughing her teeth into his flesh. Darius lets out an ominous roar in pain from the attack. Quickly, he grabs Amanitaka's leg by his teeth and slings her to the earth. It is common knowledge among all lions that to break up a hyena pride, one must take out the matriarch. This will temporarily confuse the clan. Though young and not the full size of an adult male, Darius is the size of a full-grown lioness, giving him just enough strength to devastate at least one hyena. Knowing this from the education received by his mother, Darius focuses on Nataka. He suddenly charges through the group of approaching hyenas right into Nataka, swiftly pouncing on her and ferociously biting directly into her lower spine. She screams in intense agony. Immediately, the other hyenas leap upon Darius, each biting and tearing pieces of his small mane from off his body. The attack weighs upon Darius heavily, but he does not give up his desperate fight, though his coat grows crimson due to their inflicting wounds. Darius finally manages to leap out of the mob of attackers and backs away toward his corner between the rocks once again. The hyenas rush in on him from different directions, taking swift nips into his hindquarters, removing small clumps of fur.
Kill him!
Screams the crippled matriarch as she staggers away into the night, unable to utilize her hind legs. Darius, though weakened from the exhausting fight, boldly stands his ground. Dawn finally ascends and a standoff remains between the battered, weakened Darius and the hyenas. Just when it seems he is unable to continue the fight, one of the hyenas leaps at him to deliver her finishing blow, but while in the air is speared in the side, falling to the earth beside Darius, dead. Knowing what it was that struck their sister, the clan immediately runs away from the vicinity, leaving Darius alone to face the mysterious attacker. He slowly rises to vaguely see the stripeless zebras mounted by the humans that he fled from the day before. Again they begin to mutter the sounds of their tongue as they approach him. Darius cannot fight the humans. His strength and endurance have diminished. Seeing the men move toward him with their nets, he slowly falls into a temporary state of unconsciousness due to blood loss. The next morning, he awakens to find himself in his cage once again, but this time fastened securely. He lifts his head and notices his wounds are bandaged.
Where am I?
He thinks to himself. Looking out from between the bars, he can see large swimming pools and beautiful man-made gardens. He notices a variety of animals locked away in cages just as he is. He sees giraffes, Cape buffalo, zebras and other lions. He is now in Egypt and owned by Ramesses, who purchases him from the traveling merchants. He is kept in the personal zoo of the governor. Still weakened and with diminished hope, he lay back down, uncaring as to his circumstances, eventually falling back into a deep sleep. The King in the Pit.
Magnificent is all that I touch, for in me is the power granted. I have cleverly understood the power of even the lion. For courageous, he proves to be marvelous in design. He traverses the land, searching for territory and demanding his bounty. His fights are valiant and his death noble. He hunts his quarry by night or day. His roar makes the waters regurgitate, trembling over the constancy of its echoes. None may cross the path of the warrior beast, none but I, Lord of the world, King of mankind, challenge such a beast. Into his domain I went, sword in hand, capturing his kind. There are those I slew in the hunting field by the edge of the sword, whereas others I brought back to my abode. For in my dwelling I battled the ferocity of the beast alone, proving my power and relentless courage over all beasts. Into the pit I fought the lion, and in the pit I spewed even more glory through my victories. I am Ashurbanipal, Lord of the world, King over all mankind. My power is exact, reaching the great oceans and the skies with limitless expansions. The gods have blessed my hand, giving me power over even the Lord of all beasts, making me the true earthly seat of power.
The lost tout of Ashurbanipal, king of Assyria. Darius remains in the paradisiacal company of the humans for many months. He is cared for meticulously and fed the best diet afforded to a wild cat of his age. He grows well and becomes more beautiful than ever, with his mane growing thick and full, darkening in color. His body grows to be well-formed and graced with a toned, muscular physique. Despite his mistrust of the humans, he does grow accustomed to their ways and is spoiled by their rich, easy meals and food he no longer has to hunt for. For a while, all seems well, until one spring, when an official of the Assyrian kingdom comes to view the fabled lion of Egypt, Darius, and offers many riches in order to obtain him from the pharaoh. Because he wants to develop good relations with Assyria, the pharaoh begrudgingly sells him, and the very next day, Darius is taken by caravan many miles northeast into Assyria, his new home. Darius is unaware as to what exactly is happening. He only knows the benefit he receives in living with the humans. No longer does he need to hunt to capture food. He is treated with the finest available for a wild animal. However, there is still the instinctual mistrust there within his loins of the humans, a brand imprinted upon him at birth, and the small caged quarters where he lives. His mane continues to grow long and full, until it rivals many of the other lions held in captivity. So beautiful is he that many on seeing him state, "Indeed a gift from the gods." The journey to Assyria takes many days. Through grueling deserts, lush lands, and back once again, Darius and his carriers travel very far. Upon arriving, things look much different from his prior paradisiacal home in Egypt. He is led to a large, dingy square building. It is round and half of it looks like it descends underground. Next to it is a large series of raised tents, and in them, platform seats surround a large arena. The many humans that occupy the seats shoot and scream as roars and moans are heard emanating from the pit. It is the lion pit of Assyria's arena, where criminals and war captives are thrown for the Assyrian king's entertainment, and where animals are pitted together in fights against each other. The lion is a very important creature in Assyrian culture. Its essence and power are used in union with images of the king to represent his royal supremacy. The lion also represents one of their goddesses, Ishtar. A statue of such representation is placed at the entrance of the temple of Ninurta at Nimrud, which has holy functions. Darius is taken underground and put into another large iron cage. The men carefully release him into the cage, immediately shutting the cage door behind him. Foul odors of different wild cats can be smelled throughout the dark, labyrinth cellar. There are no windows for sunlight. Light peers only from the continually burning torches that adorn the walls and others carried by humans entering and leaving the cellars. After closing him in, the humans finally leave out of the cellar and close the door behind them. All is quiet. The only noise heard for the moment is heavy breathing from other animals locked away as he.
"Are you frightened?"
mumbles an elusive voice, hidden in the shadows of a cage located just across from Darius.
Frightened?
"You are in the dwelling of blood, the circle of death."
Show yourself!
Slowly from the shadows emerges an immense animal the size of a mule, yet much longer, battered in appearance and morbid in expression. One would not know what he was or what branch of the cat family he belonged to, for he looked to be both lion and tiger, but proved a great deal larger than both. His coat is scarred badly and dirtied from the dirt and rust of the cage. His tiger striping is sparse upon his body, joined with scarce spotting. His massive head equals a head and a half of Darius's head. Large paws, teeth slightly protruding down his chin from his massive mouth, and his eyes, within them, a faint red gloss. The tips of his ears are severed off, telling a tale of vicious battles long fought.
How do you see me? A battered warrior, a king of blood, a victor of this dark realm.
Such boasts deserve backing.
Ignorant main creature, you have yet to feel the scorches of this realm. Have you ever felt cold, hard steel, or the thrust of a spear in your side, the lash of a whip, or the jaws of another combatant?
Why do you speak in riddles? Who are you?
I am Sargon from the lands of the East. Here I was brought, and here I became great, the greatest creature man has ever known. Warrior and punisher in the blood sports of the humans. Here is where I dwell, and here is where I shall die.
While speaking, Sargon paces back and forth inside his cage, violently thumping his head against the bars.
You speak of death?
Fledgling, death is a way of life here. You fight, you thrill the crowds, and if you manage to live, you rise to the pit above and fight again, only to face the humans' chosen killer of beasts.
This chosen killer Sargon speaks of is the king of Nineveh, Assyria. To prove his courage and right as king, before his people, he would kill the champion of beasts that survived the many bestial blood battles.
I am he that will defeat such beast slayer and win my freedom, for if I do not, my days will surely be numbered. Our fate wanes in the balance.
My destiny has not yet arrived, and assuredly it shall not be here. I am from noble blood, the tribe of Rushdie. I am destined for greater things. However, you look as if you are from Sarumki blood, yet you resemble even more our striped cousins Anun. But odd is your—
Foolish cat. Do you think this stadium cares of who you claim to be or what family of cats you come from? I do not even care. You will die either by sword, spear, teeth, or claw, but you will face your fate here. I am both Sarumki and Anun from the Far East. I heed not your codes of honor, for to me they do not belong.
Sargon immediately rushes the bars of his cage, grappling against them and roaring.
The time for vengeance upon man has come. Such revenge is delivered on a platter in his own circles of death. I kill all beasts and cat alike, any creature that stands in my way of survival, including you, young main one.
Darius stares unwaveringly at the immense beast, keeping his position and snarling with a show of fearlessness under his breath.
He will not die, but perhaps you will.
The new voice comes from behind Darius. It is the voice of Nasira, a lioness that lies in the shadows hidden in the far corner of the same large cage Darius is held in. She quietly lay there, watching the whole ordeal, remaining unnoticed by Darius, who himself stayed towards the front of the cage seeking freedom.
Be gone, Sargon. Your boasts and threats mean nothing here. Go back to your corner of darkness and await your own fate.
My little whore, I shall be feasting on your flesh as well very soon.
He then turns and disappears back into the darkness of his cage from whence he came. Nasira casually mopes over to Darius, still waking from her long sleep.
What is your name?
She asks Darius, yawning as she stretches out her claws, separating her toes in an almost relaxed housecat fashion. Darius, still a bit puzzled over her sudden presence.
I am Darius, son of Rushdie, ruler from the hills of the west and from the tribe of Ardak. Who might you be, sister?
I am Nasira, from the tribes of the Iron Cage.
I don't understand.
You have such a long name, Darius. The humans put you in here with me, perhaps thinking we would breed, to give them more of our kind for their entertainment. Funny. Though they don't know our kind much at all. We could have just as well fucked with me killing you and, oops, there goes their breeding program.
Darius continues his confused stare at Nasira.
All Sarumki possess such titles. You don't know this as a Sarumkina? Are you not from one of our Sarumki tribes, captured here by these hairless, ape-like beasts and put in their hideous cages?
Darius, I was taken from my family at a young age, captured by these human hunters, or let's call them hairless apes, as you called them. I have lost much knowledge of faith, tradition, pride, tribe rule, and the like. If it was there, I remember very little. Most of my life, I have only seen bars. I barely ever hunted for my food because it has always been given me. Although I do know this much, I am too from the tribe of Ardak, the pride of Tavan. That knowledge I did manage to retain, and praise be to the originator for that.
Wonderful. Then you are my sister indeed. Knowledge of self is one of the most important and valuable understandings in our world.
Perhaps, but what good is it when locked away behind bars and led around like dogs by the humans?
Do not worry. The originator will provide.
For 1 whole year of my life with the humans, I lived luxuriously, never worried about food. I was deprived of my family and kin, though, which, despite what the humans have given me, has made me unhappy. I was taken away from my pride when young here. Then one day I was chained, and once again taken away from my so-called human owner, taken across many deserts to new human territory. Here is where life changed hugely for me. I was introduced to the great circle of blood, and here I fought many grueling blood battles for the senseless entertainment of humans. Fortunately, I have survived thus far. I would presume for my valor in the blood circle. They would even place their own kind in the circle with me, bound and fettered, for me to devour for my hungered palate, which they deprive. You see, I know nothing of Serumki traditions, rules, and codes of honor. Here is my lot in life, and here is where I must strive to survive. I fight not for foolish human blood honor, but only to survive, as we all do.
Forgive me, Nasira, for not realizing your circumstances. All this is new to me. The thick smell of blood here, the stench of so many markings of different genres. This is all so confusing to me.
Confusing it is. It was once confusing to me as well, but now it is a way of life. I do, however, seek escape.
I too search for such deliverance. At the first opportunity, I will kill all the humans that stand in my way to freedom.
Ha ha, now you sound like Sargon. Oh, look at you, born into such illustrious and humble bloodlines. Your excessive passion and enthusiasm are truly awe-inspiring. Truly, a shining example of modesty and restraint.
Huh, I don't understand.
It is not that easy, Darius.
Why not?
How did you get here in the first place, Darius? Did you willingly come? No, you were captured and forced to come. Humans have devised weapons more superior than our claws and teeth, long iron blades that rival our ancestors' sabers, round planks that protect them from our attacks, invisible blankets that entrap us, iron bars that surround us, and stripeless accolin that carry them to our homes. We cannot blindly fight our way out, Darius. Eventually they will kill us anyway. We must use what was given to us. We must be guile and deceptive. We must sneak out. And once our freedom is found, I will find my long-lost pride and regain my position amongst my brothers and sisters.
Darius gives thought to Nasira's words. Though a beautiful lioness, years in the Assyrian pits have left her with many scars. She has a light, tawny coat, but one wouldn't know due to its dirty appearance. However, it is of note that she has not battled long in the pits. She is very successful. The beast battles staged by the Assyrians were not as frequent as later cultures, such as the Romans. This gives the lions more time to recuperate and bear possible young cubs. Throughout their imprisonment, as days, nights, and months come and go, Darius and Nasira draw closer to one another, eventually growing an almost inseparable bond. Darius's new home here in Assyria is not as hospitable as the one in Egypt. He is fed some days and he is left to go hungry. Each feeding is very meager portions and just enough to calm the rumble in his stomach. When it is time for battle, he is made to go 2 days without food and is harassed through the bars of his cage by an appointed human caretaker. However, Nasira is accustomed to such treatment, her being there the longest. One night, when all is quiet and Darius and his new companion are at rest, the noise of clanking wooden wheels suddenly breaks the silence, echoing in the cellar as humans enter with more animals caught for the pits. Darius awakes and observes 20 new lions being brought into the cellar in cages. the beasts roar and hiss as they are forcefully driven by sticks and whips into their new cages. One of the newly captured lionesses manages to escape her chains, rushing past the men toward the exit. The noise starts to grow inside as all the caged beasts roar and growl over the commotion. Two of the men foolishly jump in front of her with snares, but she leaps upon one, sending him crashing to the floor. While on top of him, she crushes the screaming man's skull between her powerful jaws, killing him instantly. The other men grow nervous over her attack and anxiously look for weapons to stop and kill her. Finally, right before she reaches the exit, she is brutally speared in the side by a long spear held by one of the attendants. After her death, an uneasy silence hunts the cellars, and then, right before the eyes of all the trapped beasts, the humans skin the dead lioness and cut her body in parts. On doing this, the noise of the beasts grows loud once again. They then throw pieces of her flesh to the caged beasts to feed on. Upon throwing a thigh to Sargon, before it can even hit the floor of his cage, he attacks the meat voraciously, charging into the bars of the cage that house him with his immense size, causing the floor to tremble. Finally, the head is thrown into Darius and Nasira.
What madness! I will not eat of her flesh. She is of my kind, our kind. We cannot revert to such vile cannibalistic behavior. How could?
You will do it to survive. If you do not eat of her flesh, then you will not eat at all. Now it begins. They seek to divide us. They want us to like the taste of our own flesh, to battle with each other until the end.
Nasira takes the head of the dead lioness between her two paws and begins to pull the skin from off the skull and eat. Darius walks over to the corner of the cage in shock and lies down, soon giving no regard to what is transpiring. As if in a daze of confusion, he finally falls asleep once again on an empty stomach. The next day, the humans come in and provide water for the beasts. They look upon Darius lying asleep in the corner and start taking their long sticks and poking through the bars at his side. Darius quickly rises to his paws and paces the floor of the cage, growling, not knowing what to make of the torment. The humans then leave.
You have to eat, you fool, or you will die.
What does it matter? I am already dead.
You must eat so that you can rise and fight in the human's pit of death, that you might live and find escape for your soul. I've learned the ways of the humans and studied their habits. Stick with me and you will soon be free once again. Trust me.
Ha! Eat or not, he will still die. It matters not.
Ignoring the pretentious Sargon in his nearby cage, Nasira continues speaking to Darius, being very urgent in her tone. She then laments a dream to him.
Darius, last night I was granted a vision. Before me was an oasis of grass and trees as far as the nose could smell. Streams of rivers flowed fluent through its borders, and every hoofed animal good to Ensaramki's belly was presented. I walked over to the stream that flowed and bowed to lap my fill when the earth began to tremble. The foundations began to rent apart and suck dry all the life from the land, from the hoofed food to the green grass and trees, even the waters spilled away into the earth. Then it stopped and nothing lived, not even a shoot of grass. There was nothing but sand in all the region. Life was no more. Then I woke. Again I lay down to sleep, and again another vision came to me. A human was in the forest and ate grass just as the hoofed Akalan. He ate and ate and ate until the earth was dry of grass, not so much as one was seen. He then turned and saw me looking upon him as he sat wailing over the glut of his large belly. Then, from the dry earth, new shoots of grass appear, but not green and shaft. No, they each held the head of dead Sarumki on their tips. The human then began to pull from each shoot and eat the heads. I attempted to retreat toward the vanishing forest, but I was eventually caught and caged away. Then, once again, I awoke.
Your dream is disturbing, Nasira. Why do you think you dreamt such a vision?
I am unclear of why and how it was granted me. I see it meaning two things. I believe it speaks of future events, but also I do know that it tells of the need for us to act upon freedom. If not taken by any means, then it will retreat from us. The chance may never come again. Our kind is vanishing. We must go and acquire land and a pride of our own in order that the seed of your loins will be spread before all is lost.
You were born to be a visionary for your pride.
A visionary? What do you mean?
Sarumkina are the only ones of the tribes given the gift to dream hazed events and possible coming problems. It is a gift so that our way may not be dark or clouded. If I am not mistaken, there is one visionary per pride, with a new one sprouting once the old has died. You are one of these. The dreams are not of you, but are provided by a knowledge that reveals itself to those faithful in need.
So, are you with me?
I am with you, my sister. I am with you. Tell me what I must do.
Stay alive. Do not be a fool when in the pits of death. Do not lose your senses and fight until you are famished. Fight only enough to survive. No more. But whatever you do, do not retreat, for the humans will kill you later. When they feed you meat, you eat, no matter what it is, for such is your strength and your ability to survive.
There was much for the two to ponder over, for now, their ultimate freedom from the realm of humans depends on their survival in the pit of death. Knowingly, the two lions make a pact of loyalty to each other. With the help and experience of Nasira, their plan to escape is now in motion. Death and honor. The two lions fight many battles, and the sound of thunder is heard for them as the crowds, soon numbering into the thousands, cheer for death. The Assyrian king stages over 50 successive days, where over 100 animals are killed. Many people come from far away to see the different animals fight in the pit. Bears, lions, leopards, tigers, and a host of others who fight one another for the glory of the king. Many of the animals are shipped from the north, the provinces of Rome and Greece, with big money behind various champions. Darius and Nasira manage to survive, and more than that, they soon become the most ferocious and successful killers of the pit. Darius's fighting skills increase substantially. His strength and speed are not to be underestimated. The king is duly impressed with the partnership between the two cats and admires their pure dedication and talents. 2 years pass until finally the day comes when Darius is staged to face the great Sargon. This would be a monumental event, for they both have gained much fame in their battles independently and are deemed the most prized combatant animals in the blood sports of Assyria. Sargon himself has killed over 10 different wild cats, 5 stallions, and even 2 Cape buffalo. His strength is phenomenal, but his victories are attributed to his raw strength and power only. Sargon is brought onto the large arena floor in a cage on wheels pulled by 6 men. Before opening the gate to the cage, all the men but 2 leave the arena floor. The 2 remaining are atop of the cage and need to open the gate to release Sargon. On opening it halfway, Sargon bursts through, causing the gate to fly open and knocking one of the men off balance, sending him to the arena floor. Sargon wastes no time in ravaging the misfortunate man. The stadium is silent as the spectators watch in horror. As for the other man, he manages to stay atop the cage and is pulled out by the rope attached to the back of the cage. Sargon doesn't bother to eat the body, but leaves it there bloodied and dismembered. After that, Darius is brought out onto the arena floor. Not as much care was needed with him, for he proves far more balanced than Sargon mentally, despite his kill record. Darius has matured into a powerfully built and strong lion. As soon as Darius is seen, the crowds roar and stomp in adulation. His resolve has become stronger since his first coming to Assyria, and his will is more passionate than ever. He charges into the arena, snarling and awaiting Sargon's attack. Instead of his traditional charge and kill, Sargon circles Darius, sizing him up, licking his lips, intensifying the moment.
O sweet, sweet Sarumki, today your corpse will rest in my loins. I am hungry, Sarumki, and have waited this time long past.
Darius says nothing but keeps his eyes fixed on Sargon at all times. Suddenly, Sargon charges at Darius, and Darius charges toward Sargon. When the two hit, the overwhelming size and force of Sargon are so devastating that it knocks Darius to the ground. The savage beasts lock in combat, slashing, biting, and grappling with great speed and agility. Their terrifying roars echo throughout the arena, causing an eerie silence by all onlookers. The large jaws of Sargon bite into Darius's mane, it being his only protection from death. Sargon presses heavily upon Darius with each attack, faltering Darius's progression. Darius does not allow this to stop his attack. Though outweighed, he relentlessly presses into Sargon. They both stand and grapple for the upper advantage. This advantage eventually is awarded to Sargon, for he stands far taller than Darius. Sargon begins to tear into Darius savagely, ripping away clumps of his mane. Even though Sargon has more of an advantage with size, Darius's speed and skill keep him from substantial harm from his savage foe. Eventually the tide turns, with the speed and newfound ferocious nature of Darius bursting forth. All the while Nasira paces her cage beneath and in an undertone supplicates for Darius's salvation. Darius quickly pulls from under Sargon and bites into his neck. With only a sparse mane, having no sufficient protection, Sargon releases a loud moan that booms into the stadium. It seems as if a day would pass with the time that Darius held to Sargon's neck. He holds his grip, no matter how hard Sargon fights for freedom. Subsequently, the mighty Sargon grows fatigued, losing large amounts of blood from the gaping wound made by Darius's powerful bite. Much to his avail, Sargon finally flays no more, and surprisingly yet quietly, lies down slowly, dying. Darius, being noble as he is, finally releases his hold and backs away from the dying Sargon. Abruptly, before dying, Sargon gasps with his last breath.
Know this, Sarumki. The humans will ultimately win, and all of our kind shall soon see.
But before he can finish, he dies. The bloodlusting crowd shouts in applause over Darius's victory as he is netted and escorted back to his cell. The next morning, the caretakers come with pieces of Sargon's body to feed to the wild, caged cats. Sargon's head and thigh are thrown in the cell with Darius to eat. No longer does Darius debate the idea of such a meal. He charges it ravenously, tearing into the meat without the slightest detest. Much glory is given to both Darius and Nasira, and soon the finest of food is made available for their palate. A union of such is remarkable to the Assyrian king, for he states, "No beast has ever proven more victorious as these two. The two lions fight many battles, until one day they come face to face with what every successful animal fears, the king himself, the lion slayer." Darius is not allowed to fight with the king. Instead, Nasira is chosen for the battle. Darius is now being cared for even more meticulously than Nasira. His power and prowess are believed by the Assyrians to be from the power of their gods and pronounced holy. Many start to view the misuse of Darius as the cause of many bad omens they thought to have experienced. His images are etched upon the walls and ceilings, many adding wings to his body, representing the speed and skill he is known for. However, the battle between Nasira and the king is still at work. It will be a vicious match indeed. The king is clad in the finest of Assyrian armor, highly padded and steel-plated. He rides in a chariot with two large black horses pulling it. The chariot itself possesses spikes protruding from its wheels. He carries in his arsenal a quiver with arrows and a short bow. Spears are held by the bearer of his weapons that rides with him, and the sharp sword he holds is stained with the blood of animals he has slain prior. Nasira knows well of his victories, for it is he who kidnapped her from the wild on one of his many hunting campaigns. One mistake made by Nasira, or one fatal strike by the highly protected king, could cause her instant death. It is with the king that the beast's career ends. As he enters the arena, the crowd cheers more loudly than ever. He raises his arms toward the crowds and they roar deliriously. Nasira is still being held in a small cage to restrain her. Soon the king gives the word and she is released. Nasira circles the king, growling and anticipating a charge that will dismantle her opponent. The king leaps off his chariot, equipped with his sword, shield, bow, and arrows to face the lioness. He proudly shouts, "Let the hunt begin!" Nasira races in ferociously. The king narrowly dodges her attack, warding it off with his shield. He then takes a strike at her with his sword, but she lunges back, narrowly dodging his thrust. Again, the crowds roar in exultation. The majority of the match is a series of attacks, evades, and narrow misses. Soon the king grows worried, for his planned quick execution of the lioness is not falling into play due to her underestimated speed and intelligence. He raises his hand, alerting his chariot. The chariot races to him, and he grabs hold of it, leaping inside. Nasira feels assured that she could have killed him swiftly, but she refrains, for if done, his archers, who wait for a narrow death stand, ready to pelt her with arrows. While the king equips his bow, aiming at Nasira, his servant races the chariot around the pit, circling her. He releases a series of 4 shots, but each one misses. He is dumbfounded, for he has never missed his target before. The crowds roar in expectation of Nasira's death, but to the king's dismay, it is still not going as planned. Meanwhile, Darius bellows in the cellar, pacing back and forth, nerve-wrecked over Nasira's fight with the malicious human king. He is agitated and in disarray. After some time, unable to take her absence any longer, Darius releases a roar so powerful that it shakes the floor of the pit, emanating throughout the arena and the whole vicinity. The crowds momentarily stand still and quiet, not knowing exactly from what direction the roar is coming. The king also halts his attack, baffled by the call. With that, Nasira stops her defense, slowly lies on the floor of the pit, takes a hearty stretch, and surveys the crowd calmly. The king does not know what to make of the scene. He suddenly grows remorseful over his pursuit of Nasira, something he has never felt for any beast. He has his servant in the chariot with him to stop its progression. He steps out of it and looks in amazement at Nasira's sudden calm expression after the roar made by Darius while keeping his distance from her. The king announces loudly to the crowd, "Let it be written that this lioness is sought by the goddess Ishtar. I shall do her no harm. This occurrence today is a testament to my rare mercy." With that, the crowd roars in agreement with their king. He then orders for her to be led back to her cage with Darius, and from that day forward, never does she or Darius fight in the pits for entertainment again. Peace and security. Because of their fame, the lions are sought by many from the ancient world. All offers are denied, until one day a certain royal Cushite officer from the Egyptian court comes to one of the many banquets of the Assyrian king. They are known for their closeness. However, he makes a valuable offer to the Assyrian king while the king is in a drunken state during the celebration. Because of this, the king blindly sells the 2 lions for a hefty sum. The lions are now taken back to Egypt, where Darius's former master, the pharaoh, is enthralled to have him back in his company. In Egypt, their days of combat finally cease, and they are retired and kept as pets in the royal gardens. Darius and Nasira grow to be fine specimens once again, no longer touched by combat and poor treatment. Darius has matured into a powerful adult lion, Sarumki, with a thick reddish and black mane, once shredded from fights in the pit, and has now grown back to its long and luxuriant black and reddish luster. Still holding many old scars from combat, their coats now possess a healthy sheen to them due to the meticulous care given to the cats in their new paradise. Because of the abuse they sustained from humans and their occupation as gladiators, they both retain a savage nature and are never able to be fully tamed by man. The pharaoh keeps the 2 mainly for their sheer beauty, majesty, and fame. Darius and Nasira have grown to fear nothing. From their large, elaborate cages, they are daily allowed a release to roam the beautiful gardens of the pharaoh, but are closed in by large stone walls. For 3 months they live in the gardens of the pharaoh and are provided the best the land can offer. They are revered once again as gods incarnate by the pagan peoples. On one beautiful sunny day, much like others, the caretaker comes into their enclosure and throws out for them hefty pieces of impala meat for their afternoon meal. However, on his leaving, he fails to secure the gate's lock, leaving it slightly ajar after his attention is taken away by a friend of his in conversation. The two men leave in deep conversation, unaware of the poorly fastened gate. This does not leave notice of Nasira, who quickly catches sight of this and for a moment stands motionless, in disbelief over her possible freedom.
Darius, come with me, look and see if my eyes speak truth to me.
The two walk over to the slightly open fence. Nasira slowly takes her paw and casually pushes at the gate. The gate slowly opens to reveal an oasis of forest beyond the desert. The two look at each other with eyes wide open and then turn and look behind them. Suddenly, without another word, they charge past the gatey and flee the garden into the open land, neither one looking behind them. By the time the caretaker notices their retreat, it is too late. The two lions run swiftly into the horizon until they disappear from the caretaker's sight, never to be seen again by human eyes. For many days they travel in the wild foreign lands, scurrying for whatever can be found for food, from lizards to rodents, even insects, though their newly found rations of food are not what they once were while with the humans. Freedom is what they do find, the very thing they longed for during their captivity with the humans. Never did such freedom seem to be a reality, but now it is. From the Scrolls of the Messengers. By word of Agrim, Hope.
In the stillness of the night and the shadows of existence, we find both blessings and trials, for in the darkness we begin our journey. Within the sacred confines of the womb, the absence of light cradles us, shielding and nourishing us until we are ready to embrace the world. As we emerge from this sanctuary, our sight is still veiled, and we encounter a different kind of darkness, one that harbors the potential for wrongdoing and strife. This darkness lingers around us, infiltrating even the most innocent aspects of our lives, challenging us to discern and choose our path wisely. The concept of pure malevolence is but a mirage, for from every hardship and adversity there arises an opportunity for growth and goodness. What we perceive as evil is shaped by our actions, and through the trials we endure, there is a promise of eventual relief and reward if we remain steadfast and hopeful. Evil is an elusive force, adapting its guise to the unique vulnerabilities of each heart it encounters. Though it operates in secrecy, it strikes with ruthless intensity when the moment calls for it, leaving destruction in its wake without remorse. It proclaims itself as the ultimate authority, attempting to quash all resistance, even that which is righteous and virtuous. Such times of turmoil may cast a shadow over the future, making it seem bleak and forsaken. However, within this chaos, there lies a small opening through which a glimmer of light emerges. This light, though initially faint, has always been present. As the darkness indulges in its ephemeral triumphs, the light grows ever stronger. Concealed for a time, its true essence eventually becomes undeniable, illuminating the path with its radiant power. From a humble beginning, this light expands to reveal its magnificent strength. Thus, in the intricate balance of existence, good and evil coexist, each serving to highlight the virtues and lessons of the other.
And that wraps up this episode of Legends of the Savant. We hope you enjoyed diving into this world of sci-fi and fantasy with us. If you loved what you heard, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with fellow story lovers. Your support helps us continue bringing these thrilling tales to life. Keep your eyes peeled for more exciting content coming your way, and if you want to support us even further, consider joining our community for exclusive updates and behind-the-scenes content. Until next time, keep dreaming and keep exploring the legends.